In recent discussions surrounding the state of the U.S. economy, a prevailing theme emerges: the critical need to re-evaluate economic policies through the lens of cost-benefit analysis. This theme was expertly articulated during a recent episode of the 10 Blocks podcast, where host Jordan McGillis alongside economists Jason Furman and Allison Schrager delved into the complexities of economic decision-making, particularly in the aftermath of the Biden administration's policies. The conversation was sparked by Furman's recent essay in Foreign Affairs, where he critiques the Biden administration's economic strategies, labeling them as a post-neoliberal delusion. Furman, who previously chaired President Obama's Council of Economic Advisers, expressed his concerns about the drift away from traditional economic orthodoxy, which emphasizes the importance of understanding trade-offs and budget constraints. It feels like the Biden economic policy was really divorced from the understanding that there are trade-offs and costs and benefits to different economic policies, he stated. Schrager, a senior fellow at the Manhattan Institute, echoed Furman's sentiments, highlighting a nostalgic yearning for the neoliberalism of the past, a time when both political parties recognized the value of markets and the necessity of making informed economic choices. She lamented that the current discourse often overlooks the fundamental economic principle of trade-offs, a notion that has significant implications for policymaking. The podcast not only explored the philosophical underpinnings of economic policies but also examined tangible outcomes, particularly regarding wage growth. Furman argued that despite claims of wage increases outpacing inflation, the reality was more nuanced. Most of that increase in wages happened in the year 2020. He noted, emphasizing that the Biden administration's statistics often failed to account for the preceding year's labor market conditions. This misalignment between public perception and economic reality contributes to a broader narrative of economic discontent among the populace. As the discussion progressed, the economists addressed the notion of supply and demand, with Furman pointing out that while the Biden administration focused heavily on boosting demand, there was insufficient attention given to supply-side solutions. He remarked, throwing huge amounts of money at supply can become inelastic, driving up prices rather than quantities. This observation underlines the complexities of economic policy, particularly in a time marked by inflationary pressures. A significant aspect of the dialogue centered around the political implications of economic decisions. Furman cautioned against the increasing intertwining of economics and politics, particularly in trade policy. He suggested that while national security concerns may justify certain tariffs, policymakers must acknowledge the associated costs rather than resorting to a simplistic benefit-benefit analysis. There are times when trade makes sense, but you have to weigh the costs against the benefits, he argued, illustrating the need for a balanced approach to economic policy. As the podcast concluded, McGillis and Schrager reflected on the potential for these discussions to influence future policy directions. However, they also expressed skepticism about the likelihood of a return to more centrist economic thinking within the Democratic Party, particularly given recent leadership appointments that lean towards a more progressive agenda. The conversation highlighted a critical juncture for U.S. economic policy as the nation grapples with inflation, labor market challenges, and the repercussions of past decisions. The call for a renewed focus on cost-benefit analysis and an understanding of economic trade-offs resonates as a necessary step towards crafting more effective policies. As Furman aptly noted, the future of economic strategy will require not just sound principles but a willingness to confront the complexities of reality rather than succumbing to political fantasies. The road ahead may be fraught with challenges, but an informed and balanced approach could pave the way for more sustainable economic growth and stability in the years to come. In a world still grappling with the ramifications of the COVID-19 pandemic, the quest for effective preventive measures continues to captivate both scientists and the public. A groundbreaking study recently presented at a scientific conference in San Francisco has unveiled promising results surrounding ensitrelvir, an antiviral drug developed by the Japanese pharmaceutical company Shionogi. This research could potentially redefine our approach to COVID-19 prevention, particularly for high-risk populations. Currently, there are no approved medications explicitly designed to prevent COVID-19, which has left many feeling resigned to the likelihood of infection as seasonal illness looms. However, ensitrelvir, already sanctioned in Japan for treating COVID-19, has demonstrated significant potential to thwart the virus in people exposed to it. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration (FDA) is now considering fast-track approval for ensitrelvir to be used as a preventive measure based on the compelling data shared during the Conference of Retroviruses and Opportunistic Infections. The study involved over 2,300 participants aged 12 and older who lived with someone actively infected with SARS-CoV-2. These individuals were randomly assigned to receive either ensitrelvir or a placebo for 5 days. Beginning within 3 days of their housemate exhibiting symptoms. The results were striking. Only about 3% of those treated with ensitrelvir developed COVID-19 compared to 9% of those who received the placebo. This translated to a remarkable 67% reduction in the risk of infection. The study revealed that approximately 10% of household members of the initial positive case were also infected, underscoring the virus's high transmissibility and the urgent need for preventive strategies. For older adults and those with compromised immune systems, the risk reduction was even more pronounced, with a 76% decrease in the likelihood of contracting COVID-19. Dr. Frederick Hayden, a professor emeritus at the University of Virginia School of Medicine, emphasized the breakthrough nature of this research, stating, "This study is the first where this strategy to prevent COVID-19 was documented to succeed." The ability to use an antiviral treatment for prevention mirrors established practices for other viruses, such as the flu, where medications like oseltamivir Tamiflu have proven effective in similar settings. What sets ensitrelvir apart is its dual functionality. It can both treat and prevent COVID-19 by inhibiting the virus's replication. The dosing remains consistent for both treatment and prevention, allowing for a streamlined approach in managing exposure to the virus. By administering the drug promptly after potential exposure, it can significantly reduce the viral load, thereby lowering the chances of developing severe illness. As the scientific community eagerly awaits further peer-reviewed publications on this study, the implications of ensitrelvir could be profound. Developing effective preventive measures is critical as we continue to navigate the complexities of COVID-19, especially for vulnerable populations. The potential to sidestep not only the acute illness but also long-term complications such as long COVID is a tantalizing prospect that could reshape public health strategies moving forward. In conclusion, the emerging evidence surrounding ensitrelvir marks a pivotal moment in the fight against COVID-19, highlighting the importance of innovative approaches to prevention. As researchers continue to explore this avenue, the hope remains that effective treatments will soon be widely accessible, offering a new layer of protection against a virus that has profoundly altered our lives. The next steps will be crucial, as the FDA's decision could pave the way for a new era in our response to this ongoing health crisis. In an era when the connection between diet and mental health is gaining increasing attention, recent research has unveiled compelling evidence that what we eat not only affects our physical well-being but also plays a significant role in our mental state. The old adage that you are what you eat is proving to be more relevant than ever, particularly as studies reveal that certain foods can alleviate symptoms of depression and anxiety while others may exacerbate them. Wolfgang Marks, Deputy Director of the Food and Mood Center at Deakin University in Australia, emphasizes the growing recognition of this connection. Just as we recognize that diet plays a role in conditions like heart disease or diabetes, we now understand that food choices can affect brain function, mood, and mental health disorders, he states. This insight is underscored by a 2024 study published in the BMJ, where researchers found that individuals consuming high amounts of ultra-processed foods faced a 48% increased risk of anxiety and a 22% higher risk of depression. Conversely, the research underscores the benefits of a wholesome diet. A review of 13 studies published in the February 2025 issue of Nutrition Reviews indicates that adherence to the Mediterranean diet can significantly reduce the risks of depression and anxiety. and even attention deficit hyperactivity disorder (ADHD) among children and adolescents. Furthermore, a study involving 7,434 adults revealed that those who consumed more legumes, vegetables, fruits, yogurt, fish, and seafood reported lower levels of perceived stress. The biological mechanisms at play are complex. Marx notes that dietary choices influence inflammation levels in both the body and brain, which can trigger neuroinflammation and neurodegeneration. Additionally, specific foods can enhance the production of neurotransmitters such as dopamine and serotonin, which are vital for regulating mood. Daniel Amen, a psychiatrist and founder of the Amen Clinics, explains that the microbiome, which produces 90% of the body's serotonin, is crucial for mental health. Disruptions in the gut microbiome can lead to heightened stress responses and depressive symptoms. Despite the growing body of evidence linking diet to mental health, many mental health professionals lack formal training in nutrition, leaving individuals to navigate these connections on their own. Psychiatrist Drew Ramsey points out that food choices are often not recognized as significant contributors to mental health disorders. "I don't think people appreciate how food choices are tied to the risk of mental health disorders," he says. To improve mental health through dietary changes, experts recommend various food groups known for their mood-boosting properties. Fatty fish such as salmon and sardines are rich in omega-3 fatty acids that combat inflammation and support neurotransmitter production. Fermented foods like yogurt and kimchi help cultivate a healthy gut microbiome, positively impacting mood. Brightly colored fruits and vegetables are packed with antioxidants that may reduce oxidative stress, while beans and legumes offer essential nutrients that contribute to overall brain health. Interestingly, dark chocolate, when consumed in moderation, has also been shown to enhance mood due to its high antioxidant content. Research indicates that individuals consuming dark chocolate regularly experience improved depressive symptoms compared to those who opt for milk chocolate. The implications of these findings are profound. As people become more aware of the connection between their dietary habits and mental health, there is a growing opportunity for integrating nutritional strategies into traditional mental health treatments. By fostering a greater understanding of how food influences mood, both individuals and healthcare providers can create more comprehensive approaches to mental well-being. Looking ahead, the relationship between diet and mental health is likely to continue evolving as more research is conducted in this burgeoning field. As our understanding deepens, we may see a shift in how mental health is treated, with nutrition playing a pivotal role in therapeutic practices. This unfolding narrative not only holds promise for those struggling with mental health issues, but also highlights the importance of a holistic approach to health that encompasses both body and mind. In the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia, the need for effective air defense systems has never been more critical. As Ukraine faces intensified bombings from Russian forces, the country is reaching out to its allies for additional military support, particularly in the form of surface-to-air missile systems. The latest requests have been directed towards Italy and France for more Aster-30 missiles to replenish the SAM/T air defense systems already deployed in Ukraine. According to reports from Italian daily Corriere della Sera, the two SAM/T systems that Italy and France provided to Ukraine are nearing depletion of their missile supply. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's government has been vocal about its urgent need for at least 50 additional Aster-30 missiles to ensure the continued functionality of these critical defense systems. Ukrainian Minister of Defense Rustem Umerov recently met with Italian Defense Minister Guido Crosetto in Rome to discuss this pressing issue, emphasizing the urgency of the situation as Ukraine strives to protect its cities and infrastructure from ongoing Russian attacks. The situation is complicated by the fact that Italy's own missile reserves are close to critical levels, as the government has chosen to retain 3 SAM/T systems for national defense purposes. In contrast, France reportedly has a more stable supply of Aster-30 missiles, which could facilitate a quicker response to Ukraine's requests. The performance of the SAM/T systems has come under scrutiny, with reports indicating that their effectiveness has not met expectations compared to American Patriot systems. Military analysts have raised concerns about the SAMP/T's ability to identify and intercept multiple incoming threats, a significant drawback given the nature of the ongoing aerial assaults. This has led to a growing urgency within Ukraine to restore its ammunition reserves ahead of what could be a new wave of strikes from Russian forces. In a statement reflecting the critical nature of the situation, a defense expert noted, "At this stage, with the Russians having intensified their bombing, any anti-aircraft defense system becomes precious. The need for reliable air defense has never been more apparent as Ukrainian cities continue to be targeted." The Italian government had previously committed to sending 2 SAMP/T systems to assist Ukraine, while plans are in place to procure an additional 10 systems as part of a broader defense strategy. Each SAMP/T battery, valued at around $500 million, boasts a range of 145 kilometers, approximately 90 miles, making them a formidable asset in Ukraine's defense arsenal. As the conflict continues to evolve, the international community remains watchful of developments regarding military aid to Ukraine. The responses from Italy and France will not only impact Ukraine's immediate defensive capabilities but will also serve as a barometer for the level of commitment among allies to support Ukraine in its fight against aggression. The coming weeks will be pivotal in determining whether Ukraine can secure the necessary resources to bolster its air defense and protect its sovereignty. As consumers increasingly tighten their belts amid rising economic pressures, U.S. convenience stores are feeling the pinch. Recent data reveals a significant downturn in sales, with volume dropping 4.3% in the year leading up to February 23, 2025. This decline indicates not just a shift in purchasing habits but also a broader reflection of the financial strain faced by many American households. According to Circana, a market research firm based in Chicago, a variety of product categories have seen steep declines, notably refrigerated and frozen items, tobacco products, and general food sales. This downturn is particularly alarming as it highlights the struggles of working-class and middle-class families who are increasingly reluctant to spend on non-essential items like chips and cigarettes. The current economic climate is shaped by a mix of factors, including fluctuating tariff policies and fears of stagflation, which have left consumers feeling uncertain about their financial futures. The trade policies of the Trump administration have been a significant contributing factor to this economic anxiety. Top CEOs, including J.P. Morgan's Jamie Dimon, have expressed concerns over how these evolving tariff strategies could further exacerbate inflation and potentially lead to a recession. With this backdrop, consumer sentiment has noticeably declined, prompting families to re-evaluate their discretionary spending. Moreover, rising gas prices, although they have recently decreased, have impacted consumers' disposable income. Higher transportation costs mean less money available for quick snacks or drinks at convenience stores. Additionally, there is a growing trend among consumers toward healthier options, which may also explain the drop in traditional snack sales. A report from McKinsey & Company underscores this shift, indicating that consumers plan to cut back on discretionary spending across various sectors, including apparel, footwear, and electronics. This is problematic for convenience stores, which often rely on impulse buys from customers who may now be prioritizing essential purchases over snacks. Despite these challenges, there may be a glimmer of hope for convenience stores. Jeff Leonard, Vice President of Media and Strategic Communications at the National Association of Convenience Stores, noted that while packaged food sales are declining, some of that spending is shifting to prepared food options available within the stores. Consumer sentiment is not strong, and stores really need to fight for customers, he commented, highlighting the need for businesses to adapt to changing consumer preferences. In conclusion, as convenience stores navigate this challenging landscape, the need for innovation and adaptability has never been more crucial. While the current economic environment poses significant hurdles, it also opens the door for businesses to rethink their strategies and offerings. Looking ahead, the focus on healthier alternatives and prepared foods may help stores regain traction, but it will require concerted efforts to understand and respond to the evolving needs of consumers. As the marketplace continues to shift, stakeholders will be watching closely to see how these trends develop and what they mean for the future of retail in America. In a rapidly evolving geopolitical landscape, the collaboration between China, Russia, and Iran signifies a critical moment in international relations, particularly regarding nuclear diplomacy. On March 14, 2025, high-ranking officials from these nations convened in Beijing, where they collectively condemned U.S. sanctions and advocated for the revival of the nuclear agreement that the Trump administration notably abandoned in 2018. This meeting, described as a strategic alliance against unilateral sanctions, underscores the complexities of the ongoing tensions surrounding Iran's nuclear ambitions. The backdrop to this summit is fraught with challenges. U.S. concerns about Iran's nuclear capabilities have been long-standing, with officials asserting that Tehran could potentially develop a nuclear weapon should it choose. However, Iranian representatives have consistently refuted these allegations, claiming that their nuclear activities are strictly for civilian purposes. The joint statement issued at the conclusion of the Beijing meeting emphasized the necessity for international dialogue to address these concerns, with Chinese Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs Ma Jiaxu articulating, "Political and diplomatic engagement and dialogue based on the principle of mutual respect remains the only viable and practical option." The stakes are undeniably high as Iran continues to expand its stockpile of near-weapons-grade enriched uranium amid escalating sanctions from Washington. This situation has prompted fears of a renewed crisis, particularly as global powers seek to navigate the delicate balance of energy prices and economic stability impacted by the ongoing conflicts in the Middle East and Ukraine. William Figueroa, an assistant professor at the University of Groningen, remarked on the significance of the meeting, describing it as diplomatic maneuvering that sends a clear signal of defiance against U.S. policy. The international community is watching closely as Iran engages in preliminary nuclear talks with European powers such as the UK, France, and Germany, signaling a potential shift in diplomatic dynamics. However, the complexities of these negotiations are compounded by U.S. President Trump's recent reiteration of his intent to forge a new nuclear deal with Iran, coupled with threats of military action should negotiations fail. In a letter delivered to Iranian leaders, the contents of which remain unknown, Trump's overtures have been met with skepticism by Tehran, with Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei dismissing the overtures as a trick aimed at further sanctions. As tensions simmer, the Beijing meeting highlighted the importance of maintaining the integrity of the International Atomic Energy Agency's inspection activities in Iran. With the UN watchdog reporting a surge in nuclear activity, the urgency for diplomatic resolution grows. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi cautioned against actions that might undermine these inspections, asserting the situation has reached a critical juncture again. "We must buy time for peace, resolve disputes through political and diplomatic means, and oppose the use of force and illegal sanctions." Looking ahead, the geopolitical implications of this trilateral alliance between China, Russia, and Iran could fundamentally alter the landscape of international diplomacy surrounding nuclear proliferation. Should Iran choose to exit the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty (NPT) amid renewed sanctions, the risks of conflict would escalate significantly, raising alarms across global markets and security frameworks. The coming months will be pivotal as these nations navigate their respective interests, and the world awaits the next moves in this high-stakes game of diplomacy. In a remarkable revelation that reshapes our understanding of prehistoric human migration, a recent genomic study has unveiled compelling evidence that Stone Age Europeans undertook maritime voyages to Africa over 8,000 years ago. This groundbreaking research, published in Nature on March 12, 2025, highlights the complexity of ancient human interactions across the Mediterranean and provides an intriguing glimpse into the lives of our hunter-gatherer ancestors. The study, co-led by David Reich, a population geneticist at Harvard Medical School, focuses on ancient remains discovered in the eastern Maghreb region, encompassing present-day Tunisia and northeastern Algeria. Researchers sequenced DNA from 9 individuals who lived between 600 and over 10,000 years ago, revealing a surprising genetic link to European hunter-gatherers. This finding marks the first direct evidence of trans-Mediterranean sea voyaging during this period, suggesting that these early humans may have navigated the Mediterranean using rudimentary wooden canoes, island hopping by sight. David Reich noted there's not been much of a North African story. It was a huge hole. Previous genomic studies primarily emphasized the migration patterns of ancient populations in Europe and the Middle East, leaving a significant gap in our understanding of North Africa's prehistoric narratives. The results from this study not only fill that gap but also challenge the notion that the Mediterranean acted as a formidable barrier to human movement. One of the standout findings of the research is the discovery that approximately 6% of the DNA from a man unearthed at a site in Jebba can be traced back to European hunter-gatherers. Researchers estimate that this intermingling occurred around 8,500 years ago, indicating that these early populations were not isolated but engaged in some form of cultural or genetic exchange across the sea. Interestingly, this discovery aligns with archaeological evidence suggesting the continued presence of local hunter-gatherer ancestry in Tunisia and Algeria despite the arrival of European farmers who migrated through the Strait of Gibraltar. The local populations in the eastern Maghreb appear to have maintained their traditional practices, hunting local animals and foraging wild plants even while adopting some agricultural methods. Reich speculated that the persistence of local ancestry might reflect a resistance to the new farming practices introduced by incoming populations. The origin of the European ancestry in these ancient North Africans remains uncertain, though Sicily and other nearby islands are considered likely sources. Archaeologist Giulio Lucarini pointed out that obsidian from these islands has been found in Tunisian archaeological sites, reinforcing the idea of maritime connectivity between Europe and North Africa during the Stone Age. The implications of this study extend beyond mere historical curiosity. They fundamentally alter our understanding of human mobility and interaction during prehistoric times. Rosa Fregel, a population geneticist at the University of La Laguna in Tenerife, emphasized the significance of the findings, stating, "It shows that the Mediterranean was no great barrier for Stone Age people." As researchers continue to explore the genetic legacies of these ancient populations, further studies may unveil additional surprises, shedding light on the complexities of human migration and cultural exchange that shaped our distant past. The story of our ancestors is far from complete, and this discovery is a crucial chapter in understanding the intricate tapestry of human history. As we look to the future, the possibilities for new insights into ancient human behavior and migration patterns are vast, beckoning further exploration and discovery across both sides of the Mediterranean. SEA.in a significant advancement for neonatal care. Recent research published in the Journal of Perinatology has unveiled a promising correlation between cardiac biomarkers and right ventricular performance in neonates suffering from neonatal encephalopathy (NE). This condition, often resulting from oxygen deprivation during birth, poses a critical challenge for medical professionals and can lead to severe long-term complications. The study, conducted by a multidisciplinary team from McGillis University and other institutions, focused on 56 neonates who underwent therapeutic hypothermia, a common treatment for NE, from 2016 to 2021. Researchers analyzed cardiac function through repeated echocardiography and biomarker assessments on specified days after birth, uncovering important insights about the relationship between cardiac health and neurological outcomes. Dr. Gabriel Altot, the principal investigator, emphasized the importance of identifying early indicators of cardiac dysfunction. Our findings suggest that elevated levels of creatine kinase (CK) and cardiac troponin ICTNI are reliable markers of decreased right ventricular performance, he explained. Specifically, the study found that a CK level of 1961 U/L and a CTNI level of 91 ING/L were associated with a significant reduction in tricuspid annular plane systolic excursion taps, a key echocardiographic measure of right ventricular function. The sensitivity and specificity of these biomarkers were notably high, making them potential tools for early identification of compromised cardiac function in affected neonates. The implications of this research are far-reaching. Recognizing compromised right ventricular function early could enhance clinical decision-making during the critical windows of therapeutic hypothermia. As the study noted, trending these biomarkers could signal the optimal timing for more detailed echocardiographic evaluations, thereby improving patient outcomes. Moreover, the significance of this research extends beyond immediate clinical applications. By better understanding the cardiovascular impacts of any healthcare, providers can tailor interventions that address both neurological and cardiac health, potentially reducing the risk of long-term disabilities associated with this condition. As this field of research continues to evolve, it is likely that we will see increased integration of cardiac assessments in the management of neonatal encephalopathy. The ongoing exploration of biomarkers not only holds the promise of improving current treatment protocols but also paves the way for future studies aimed at understanding and mitigating the complex interactions between cardiac and neurological functions in neonates. In conclusion, this groundbreaking research underscores the critical need for a holistic approach to neonatal care that encompasses both neurological and cardiovascular assessments. As we look towards the future, the integration of these findings into clinical practice could mark a pivotal shift in the management of neonatal encephalopathy, ultimately enhancing the quality of care for some of the most vulnerable patients. In a historic milestone for both academia and representation, Amy Umana has made waves by becoming the first Black female president of the Harvard Law Review. Her election represents not only a personal achievement but also a significant moment for diversity within legal scholarship at one of the most prestigious law schools in the world. This groundbreaking appointment has garnered widespread attention and serves as an inspiration for aspiring law students from underrepresented backgrounds. Umana, who hails from Nigeria, was elected to the esteemed position on March 15, 2025. Her journey to this significant role is marked by her dedication to justice, equity, and community service, reflecting a commitment to the values that the Harvard Law Review aims to uphold. In her acceptance speech, Umana expressed her gratitude and emphasized the importance of diverse voices in legal discourse. It is critical for us to create spaces where different perspectives can thrive. The law affects everyone, and our scholarship should reflect that diversity, she stated. The Harvard Law Review, established in 1887, has historically been a platform for influential legal scholarship and has produced numerous notable alumni. However, the representation of women and people of color in its leadership roles has been a subject of ongoing discussion. Umana's election marks a turning point, signaling a broader shift towards inclusivity in legal academia and potentially inspiring future generations of legal scholars. Experts have noted that Umana's leadership could influence the content and priorities of the review. As issues of social justice, equity, and access to legal representation become increasingly salient in today's legal landscape, her presidency may lead to a greater emphasis on these topics in forthcoming publications. Ime's election is not just a personal achievement, it's a step towards a more inclusive narrative in legal scholarship, remarked Professor Sarah Lee, a legal scholar and former editor of the review. Umana is no stranger to advocacy. Throughout her academic career, she has been involved in various initiatives aimed at promoting access to justice for marginalized communities. Her leadership style, characterized by collaboration and a commitment to listening, has resonated with her peers, and many see her presidency as an opportunity to engage more law students in critical conversations about race, gender, and the law. This moment is particularly significant given the current societal context in which legal institutions are under scrutiny for their roles in perpetuating inequities. Umana's presidency could serve as a catalyst for broader reforms within legal education and practice, encouraging law schools to adopt more inclusive policies and curricula that reflect the diverse society they serve. Looking ahead, Umana's tenure is anticipated to influence not only the Harvard Law Review but also the broader legal community. As legal scholars and practitioners grapple with pressing issues such as systemic racism and inequality within the justice system, Umana's leadership could pave the way for more transformative approaches to legal education and practice. In conclusion, Imam Umana's election as the first black female president of the Harvard Law Review is a momentous occasion that signals a shift towards greater diversity and inclusivity in legal scholarship. As she embarks on this new chapter, the legal community will be watching closely to see how her leadership will shape the future of legal discourse and inspire a new generation of lawyers committed to social justice. In a recent episode of the 10 Blocks podcast hosted by City Journal's Jordan McGillis and Allison Schrager, the critical interplay of economic policy trade-offs and the ideological shifts within American political discourse were examined through the lens of Jason Furman, former chair of President Obama's Council of Economic Advisers. The discussion, which aired on March 14, 2025, provided a compelling critique of contemporary economic orthodoxy, particularly in the context of the recently concluded Biden administration and its economic policies. Furman's insights were particularly timely given the increasing discontent surrounding economic performance and the persistent inflation that has characterized the post-pandemic landscape. He pointedly criticized what he termed the post-neoliberal delusion embraced by the Biden administration, arguing that this approach marked a departure from the centrist economic principles that once united both major political parties. "There was a time where we both were kind of in the center," Furman noted, reminiscing about the era when market enthusiasm was more bipartisan. He lamented the current ideological divide that has led to a neglect of trade-offs inherent in economic decision-making. Schrager echoed this sentiment, highlighting a shared nostalgia for the neoliberal era during which policies like NAFTA were seen as beneficial for the economy. She expressed her concern that current policy discussions have become overly partisan, losing sight of the fundamental economic principles of budget constraints and cost-benefit analysis that should guide decision-making. "If we use the framework of economics that there are trade-offs, that we exist in budget constraints, we end up with more sensible economic policy on both sides," she argued. Furman elaborated on the failures of the Biden administration, citing a disconnect between perceived economic success and the realities facing American workers. He explained that while wage growth was reported as a positive sign, much of it was a reflection of trends from 2020, and many workers still felt the sting of inflation. "Part of it is that the economy wasn't as good as people were bragging about," he stated, emphasizing that the administration's optimistic narrative did not align with the lived experiences of many Americans. The conversation also turned to the impact of supply-side economics and the challenges of enhancing productive capacity in a politically charged environment. Furman pointed out that while some strides had been made, such as increased domestic microchip production, other sectors faced significant hurdles due to political complications and regulatory burdens. The discussion underscored the complex interplay between policy ambitions and the practicalities of implementation, with Furman noting that the economy just can't take that much ambition in such a short amount of time. As the podcast progressed, the dialogue touched on the broader implications of economic policy decisions, including the role of inflation and its effects on public perception and political viability. Furman highlighted the phenomenon of money illusion, where the public's dissatisfaction with rising prices often overshadows any gains in nominal wages. This disconnect can lead to a broader disenchantment with government policies regardless of their actual efficacy. With an eye on the future, the hosts pondered whether the Democratic Party might find its way back to centrist economic discussions, especially in light of recent electoral setbacks. Schrager expressed skepticism about the party's willingness to engage in self-reflection, suggesting that without acknowledging the realities of trade-offs, meaningful policy change may remain elusive. In conclusion, the episode serves as a poignant reminder of the complexities surrounding economic policy in an era defined by polarization. As the U.S. navigates these turbulent waters, the insights shared by Furman and his co-hosts underscore the necessity for policymakers to embrace the foundational principles of economics, recognizing trade-offs, constraints, and the multifaceted nature of economic outcomes. The future of U.S. economic policy may very well depend on this return to a more measured analytical approach that acknowledges the inherent challenges of governance amidst competing interests. The quest to understand the origins of life on Earth has long captivated scientists, but a recent breakthrough may provide a fresh perspective on how life began. Researchers from Stanford University have proposed a groundbreaking theory suggesting that microlightning between water droplets may have played a crucial role in creating the first organic molecules. This new idea challenges traditional views of life's beginnings and could significantly influence the search for extraterrestrial life. Richard Zare, a professor of chemistry at Stanford, emphasizes the novelty of this approach, stating, "This is a new way to think about how the building blocks of life were formed. The prevailing theories have posited that life emerged from simple gases reacting to create organic molecules such as proteins and enzymes. However, Zare points out a key limitation in earlier hypotheses. If you look at the gases that people thought were around on early Earth, they don't contain carbon-nitrogen bonds, which are essential for life. Historically, experiments by Stanley Miller and Harold Urey in 1952 suggested that electricity, likely from lightning, could initiate the chemical reactions necessary for life. Yet the low probability of lightning striking concentrations of gases in the vast oceans or atmosphere has led many to doubt this theory. Zare and his team have taken a different approach by using a water spray mixed with methane, carbon dioxide, ammonia, and nitrogen gas. Their experiments demonstrated that this combination could produce organic molecules with carbon-nitrogen bonds without requiring an external electricity source. The key to their discovery lies in the behavior of water droplets. According to Zare, smaller water droplets acquire a negative charge while larger droplets become positively charged due to the Leonard effect, a phenomenon observed in nature where colliding droplets generate electrical charges. The team found that when these oppositely charged droplets come close together, tiny electrical discharges, termed microlightning, can occur. These discharges produce sufficient energy to facilitate chemical reactions leading to the formation of organic compounds such as hydrogen cyanide, glycine, and uracil, a fundamental component of RNA. Veronica Vida, a chemist at the University of Colorado Boulder, remarked on the significance of the findings, stating, "It is surprising to me that microlightning can initiate chemistry starting with nitrogen." However, the observations reported are compelling. This research not only reshapes our understanding of the conditions that may have fostered life on Earth, but also implies that similar processes could occur in other water-rich environments across the universe. The implications of this study extend beyond Earth. Vida suggests that the search for extraterrestrial life might benefit from considering environments where water droplets collide and create microlightning. This insight could refine the criteria for identifying potentially habitable locations on other planets and moons. As scientists continue to explore the origin of life, the theory of microlightning offers a promising avenue for research, challenging long-held beliefs and opening up new possibilities for understanding both our planet's history and the potential for life elsewhere in the cosmos. With ongoing advancements in technology and experimental methods, the coming years may bring further revelations about how life began both on Earth and beyond.